I'm Sydney, welcome back to my Flock and Squawk, and welcome to one of my Julymas. I have a playlist. I've been making videos every other day in July, kind of a prep for Christmas, kind of just a little bit of a vlog, getting my groove back. So we are going to make some oatmeal cookies today. We are going to make peanut butter chocolate chip oatmeal cookies. Yes, it's a lot. Yes, I hope that they'll be delicious, but I'm just gonna be making the cookie dough today. So if you're curious, I'm basically following this recipe on the back of the Great Value old-fashioned oats. So let's just get straight to mixing it up and you'll see how my interpretation differs, mostly just peanut butter.
Because I used natural peanut butter, I first scraped it out of the jar, gave it a mix to make sure everything was incorporated, especially since this was a new jar, all the oil had settled at the top, and then I scooped most of it back into the jar, leaving about a half cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup. I did not actually measure what the peanut butter was, but then 2 sticks of butter, or a cup, if you will, made sure that was fully incorporated. It took a little bit since my butter wasn't fully softened, but we essentially got to this kind of frosting-like texture. Added in a pinch of salt from the salt apple, a cup of brown sugar, and a cup of white sugar, and just blended those in, and it even more so looked like frosting after all of that. It basically was frosting.
Don't mind the dirty floors, but I just fucking broke 2 eggs. They were sitting right there, off to the side, out of view.
After that, I collected myself and waited for the trash truck to go by before cracking in 2 brand new eggs into my batter and making sure those were fully incorporated. It looked like this after all of that beating in, and then it was time to add in the baking soda, 1 teaspoon, and then a splash of vanilla. I don't measure vanilla with cookies. Made sure that was incorporated, and it was time to start adding the flour. I used a 1.5 cups of flour, which I had put into a separate bowl to slowly add in.
Well, I don't think I can really make this up, but on top of the eggs falling off the counter and having made a mess, my camera also had died when I started adding the flour. So now we can continue with making the cookies.
Like I said, I just added in the flour a little bit at a time to make sure that it was fully incorporated and not to get the dust cloud. After that, I added in a cup of chocolate chips of just a mixed variety of whatever I had open, some dark chocolate, some semi-sweet. After hand mixing in the chocolate chips, because this batter is quite thick, I added in my 4 cups of oatmeal, and it was so thick by the end of it that I had to get my hands in there to make sure it was fully mixed up and incorporated. I think even a stand mixer would have a little bit of issue with how thick this one is.
All right, so I've got my cookie dough here. We have quite a sturdy amount. How do I have cookie dough on the bottom of this? Just got some on my hand. But I did have to go in with my hands in the dough near the end because it is super thick. So I'm gonna get my seal a meal and I'm going to divide this off into chunks. If I was going to be baking it, I'd just follow the instructions here, which is 375 for 13 to 15 minutes. And it says it yields 42. I don't know if I'm gonna get 42 out of this, but I'm just gonna chunk it into like four sections. 4 sections? Yeah, let's see. 4 times 12, 48. Yeah, maybe you'd be able to get around that many cookies, depending on how big you go. But I'm gonna chunk this into 4ths, and then I'm gonna seal a meal each grouping. Food saver, whatever you wanna call it. I've always heard of it as seal a meal, like sealing a meal. But yeah, I'm gonna do that and then it can pop into the freezer. But thank you for joining me on this Julymas and through all of my adventures so far and misadventures with this one. I genuinely was getting pretty upset in this video, and you can't really see off camera and I didn't like mention it, but my little baby Goggins, he is going absolutely insane. He's been knocking stuff over on top of the mishap with the eggs and the garbage truck deciding to come through and my camera dying. So it's been a little bit of a rough one behind the scenes. There he is, just jumping into the window. And yeah, so let's get this all divided up and sealed, and thank you for joining me.
Now, if you've never used a Food Saver seal a meal type device, basically it has these special bags and you snap it into place. There's a little channel in mine that shows you where the end of the bag has to be to vacuum seal it, and then it just vacuums it out and seals the edge. It's very, very handy, and then you can just write on the back or right on the outside of the bag what it is, but here you can kind of see the channel that it has to go in to create the vacuum and seal it.
Here I have my 4 bags of cookie dough. I did not divide it up evenly, but we have them all sealed and ready for my freezer. And thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry if it's a little chaotic, a little up and down, but thank you so much for joining me. And also a big thank you to all 401 subscribers that I have. I know it's been a couple days since I hit that milestone, but I'm so happy that so many of you have decided to join me. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you flock and squawk again with me sometime. Bye!